What? You don't know what to read next? Well, here's an opportunity to see a good reading choice for Year 8. Hi, my book is The Pacific Campaign by Dan Vanderlot. The book is about the war in the Pacific 1939 to 1945. This book deals with a lot of the battles, but it also shows the politics behind the Japanese, American, British, Chinese, Dutch, and Australian governments involved in the war. This book shows the Allied and Japanese perspectives and the politics behind it. Most of us find politics boring, and especially historical politics, but I found this really interesting because I grew up in the years after the war and only heard the Allied side through movies and textbooks. We would see the Japanese as subhuman robotic killing machines who would take over the world, as shown in this 1943 cartoon, How to Tell a Chinese from a Jap. I found reading about Japanese politics before World War II interesting in that it showed the US resisting Japanese expansion to the Pacific, hatred between the Japanese Army and Navy, why Japan attacked the US at Pearl Harbor, and how the war spread across Asia and the Pacific. The book gives incredible details about each significant battle in the Pacific, from Pearl Harbor to Hiroshima. Year 8. You might like this book because it is an interesting history book on war, where Australia was much involved. It is easy to follow, chronological, and gives lots of personal information about many of the leaders and politicians on both sides. You probably can't buy this book in Australia. Big libraries might have it, but the best chance you have is to buy it from an online bookseller. Or you could borrow my copy if you took good care of it. The Pacific Campaign by Dan Vanderlot is a good choice for a Year 8 student who doesn't know what to read next. If you don't want to read the Pacific Campaign, listen to some of the other Year 9 students' recommendations, and I'm sure you will find your next book. I used a number of techniques in this speech. 3 of them were rhetorical question, informal language, and narrative. I started the speech with a rhetorical question, a question that isn't supposed to have an answer. My question was, what? You don't know what to read next? The rhetorical question is designed to get your interest and attention right away so you can listen to what I've got to say later. I used informal language because that is close to the language you use with each other and the language that you use to talk to yourself. Words like hi and using the first person singular, I and me. These all help to tone down the language level of what could have been a very formal and academic speech beyond your understanding as Year 8 students. I also used narrative in my speech to add detail and interest. Examples such as, the book gives incredible details about each significant battle in the Pacific from Pearl Harbor to Hiroshima, all contribute to a more personal and informal understanding of some of the aspects of this book for a Year 8 audience.